right, welcome into the Oklahoma Sports Podcast. We're the little podcast on the prairie. I'm Jared, and this is Chase.
How you doing today, J-Mac?
Chilling hard, man. It was a good week in sports. A couple sports guys here.
Yeah, hashtag analysis.
We're bringing you all the takes from the week. And I can't wait to get into the OU game. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Yeah. It's winter here in Oklahoma now. Bring it in. Oklahoma beats Kansas 55-40.
Yeah, great game.
Heck of a game. Listen, and we're going to get into this later.
Yeah.
But all you people need to calm down. Okay? Number one, sports are fun. All right. Number two, Kansas scored more than half their points in the fourth quarter in garbage time. Yeah. So, yeah, I know the final score is not what you want it to be, so you can brag to your buddies, you know, to your Poke fans at work. We beat Kansas by 90 points. It didn't happen this year, so maybe next year. I don't know.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. But, I mean, all in all, it was a fun game to watch. Even when Kansas came out and scored quick, I was still just kind of relaxed, and I knew that team didn't have enough to beat OU in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, never had a chance.
Regardless of Kansas putting up 40. Oh, no. We put up 40 against the Jayhawks. What are we going to do? We know what the defense is. It's not anything new. Nothing that happened out in the field should surprise anyone.
Yeah. If anything, you should be surprised. We only gave up 17 points through three quarters. So, again, OU goes into the fourth up 35-17, and I believe OU had the ball and went and scored there.
Yeah.
And from there on is garbage time. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you'd love for your guys, and it's not even really the first unit. There were so many guys hurt and out.
Yeah.
Sure, you'd like for them to get a stop every single time out in the crappiest garbage time in the world against the freaking Kansas Jayhawks in 30-degree weather or whatever on senior night, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like you said, the defense is the defense. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So either one, stop watching OU because it's not going to change, or two, like just dial it back a little bit. That's what we've done, or I think.
And it's not like this Kansas Jayhawk team. Not that I'm saying this is the greatest team that's ever been assembled, but it's probably been the best Jayhawk team since that random year that
07.
Since 07 when they were great. You know, and they didn't give up. That coach is essentially just coaching for another head coaching job, hopefully next year.
Just a live application.
Yeah, and you could tell too, because normally in the past, KU teams and coaches or whatever just kind of thrown in the towel, said whatever. We're down, and especially in the fourth quarter, they were down big, and they were calling timeouts, going for it on fourth down, doing some random things.
Go for two.
Doing some things that normally probably wouldn't happen with any other coach in that situation. But since he's trying to show, it's basically just an audition. So since he's trying to show that, it makes sense. And plus, that running back at Kansas, what's his name, Puka
Williams.
He's good. I mean, I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
he can play.
He's real, and you can see that. But that's kind of what I'm getting at is, you know, you have every year you just beat the crap out of Kansas every season. So how are you going to ask these defensive players who's already beat down, they're already injury ridden, held the team to 10 points in the first half, 7 in the third quarter, got them to 17. Their offense is blowing them out of the water. How do you expect them, a bunch of second-string guys, to stop Kansas?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just not – and it sucks. I get it because, like, you want your defense to have more heart than that. It's like you still got the OU jersey on. You should still be, you know, working your butt off and whipping these Kansas boys. But I also understand why they're giving up garbage time points.
Yeah.
Through three quarters, again, it wasn't that bad. It was bad, but if you were to tell you fans, hey, you're going to give up 24 to Kansas, they'd be like, yeah, that's probably about right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just those, whatever that was, that 16 points at the very end that really threw people and made the final score look bad. OU kneels the ball on the 10-yard line to end the game rather than trying to score.
Yeah, which – you know, the Gooner in me wanted them to go score because they ran the ball, and Kansas' head coach was calling timeouts with a minute and a half left in the game. And so part of me wanted them to just keep handing the ball off because, hey, you couldn't stop the run. And so just keep handing the ball off, get in the end zone there to end the game, end it with a punctuation mark, and get in the locker room and go home.
That brings up a good point, and we were going to talk about this, but I'll bring it up now. The OU running game was a little bit different this game. Of course, OU basically only having one back, Kennedy Brooks, to go in this one. Sermon, I think, started the game, but only played maybe 2 plays.
He had one carry for 5 yards.
Had one carry. I think he played in 2 plays, and then we see him on the sideline with a walking boot.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, I've done tons of research and stuff. It seems to be just a precautionary thing more than anything. I think OU knew they were going to win that game, and it wasn't worth. I think he got a little dinged, and it was just kind of let's just settle this down. And so Brooks had a big game. He had 171 yards on the ground and on only 25 carries. Yeah. But you could tell he lost some gas there at the end. He was running on nothing at the end of that game.
Yeah, which is tough because, again, every time we watch the game, we see this running game just gashing people. The offensive line's getting a crazy push, regardless if they're playing, Texas, Kansas State, Kansas, whoever. They're getting a really good push, and so you want them – you just run the ball. But when you only have one – I mean, Pledger suited up, but he was out last game. I don't think he's fully healthy. And when Sermon's banged up, you just – by default, you have to rely on Kyler and his playmaking in the passing game, which isn't the worst thing in the world. He's probably the best player in college football right now, and so having to rely on him is not a bad thing.
Yeah, he's running at the Heisman, giving it a good run. We'll see where that ends up. He's definitely the underdog as of right now, but there's still two huge games left. Hopefully, assuming they get into the Big 12 championship game, of course, but. Yeah, so let's talk about it. I have this hot take, and I want to hear what you think about it.
Okay.
I think, obviously, this OU offense is so good, but right now they're not playing their best ball. Mm-mm. Do you agree with that?
I do, but mostly because of injuries.
Yeah.
I think that Hollywood's been banged up. Obviously, all the injuries to the running backs. You even saw Kyler kind of get up, gimpy, kind of shaking out his forearm at some point. The best part about the offense in general has been that O-line. I think they're clicking. They're playing their best ball.
Yeah.
But as a team, skill position, everybody's dinged up, which you hear it every year. You hear the guys on the radio, on TV. Well, everybody's hurt. It's week 10. Everybody's hurt. But it's true. Yeah. I mean, everybody's dinged up. You're playing hard and physical. So they got a chance to keep playing better. And if Sermon's 100%, which I think he's good, like you said, I think it's just kind of precautionary. I think that their best ball is still ahead of them.
And we'll get into West Virginia later, but I think they're going to rush for about 400 yards on West Virginia if Sermon's healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see the offense, and like you said, the offensive line just dominating, just running people over, just creating a huge lane. But we miss a lot of passes here and there that are not hard. We've got drops, we've got bad throws here and there. They're pretty sparse because Kyler's pretty dang good at football. But we've seen some poor throws. CeeDee Lamb hasn't played great either. On top of that, he's been okay, but he hasn't been that CeeDee that we expected early in the season that was making crazy one-handed grabs and running down the field. Yeah. I think that'll come together. I really do. I think them playing the big game this weekend will really change things. I think it's difficult for that team to get up. They don't have as many leaders as maybe some teams in the past have had, and I think one of the byproducts of not having a bunch of leaders is a team coming out a little bit flat.
Yeah, and you see it all the time, coming off of probably one of the greatest leaders in college football, maybe ever, in Baker Mayfield. Just the fire he brought regardless of opponent every game. And then coming off of that to someone else, whoever may be leading the team, whether it be Kyler or someone on the defensive side of the ball, it's just not the same. And so you're right, there are going to be some lax moments. And, I mean, they're 18 to 22-year-old young kids, basically. So you can't rely on kids like that to be consistent on the field every game. It's irrational.
Yeah.
And so just I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And guess what, guys? The defense is the defense. That's our angle. We know they're bad. I mean, yeah, we're not adding anything to the conversation when we say that. That's why I'm not going to hit on that. We're not going to hit on that whole bunch. We know it's bad. And so another thing, guys, we're 10-1. We've got a pretty decent shot at going to the playoff again.
Yeah.
Like, we're just really spoiled, and we have to kind of step back sometimes. Look at a team like Oklahoma State. They've barely made a bowl this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of the reality is sometimes you can have down years. If a down year for OU, it means they're going to have a shot at going to the playoff and going to the – I mean, you just have to relax a little bit and have fun with it. Yeah, the defense sucks and it's frustrating, but again, 10-1, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and again, I agree. It's not anything that you didn't expect coming into this year. From game one, everyone knew, how great this offense had the potential to be, and that was still with guys like Rodney Anderson healthy. And you thought, oh man, no one's gonna be able to stop us. It doesn't matter if OU can't stop anybody and gets 40 put up on them a night. That offense is going to put up 55 to 60 and just be prolific, which has pretty much been the case, And so, again, it's not anything we haven't seen or didn't expect. And so I just to keep harping on it I just don't understand.
Yeah, so we'll wrap Kansas talk here. Again, a bunch of garbage time points. If OU was a dominant defense, like Georgia, for example. Mm-hmm. Georgia gave up like 35 points to some no-name FCS team. Nobody talks about it because, they have a good defense. When OU gives up 40 to Kansas, they have a bad defense. It's all garbage time. Don't get too wrapped up in what happened in the fourth quarter in that game. It's frustrating, but it's garbage time.
Yes.
With that said, let's move on to West Virginia. West Virginia took a tough L this weekend in Stillwater.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt for sure because I really wanted that big. I mean, it's still going to be a big matchup.
It's huge, yeah.
It's huge, but I really wanted West Virginia coming in ranked at the top 10. A big top 10 matchup that OU could hopefully come out on top in, which we'll get into picks and who we think is going to win a little bit later. And then just go straight in with that momentum into the Big 12 championship game. And so the byproduct of it is that West Virginia is going to come out even that much more on fire, I think. They're at home. It's their last game of the season. They're going to be raring and ready to go.
I was listening to a podcast today, and I won't say who it was, but they were talking about the fact that West Virginia might come out a little bit flat because they lost a game, and now they can't go to the national championship. And the other guy on the podcast, who's a brilliant kid, he said, well, they still can play for a Big 12 championship. The winner of this game of West Virginia and OU goes to the Big 12 championship to play Texas unless Kansas beats Texas.
Yeah.
That's when stuff gets weird. But
it's
Texas will beat.
Yeah,
it has happened before. Texas will beat Kansas, and Texas is going to be in.
Yeah.
So then there's that game, which is essentially, the playoffs start now for OU, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I think that these other teams in the Big 12 have to show some pride eventually. Like OU's won it 3 straight years, and so if they win again, it's almost another Big 12 title. You got to think that alone should make these kids from West Virginia want to win that game that much more. And the fact that OU just went back to back to back, I'd be tired of it. Anybody that's playing, and I'm not going to call OU a dynasty, but in the Big 12,
in the Big 12
picture, they are right now. Mm-hmm. And so any other team playing that, you're going to get their best effort. You want to beat them every night. So I think they're going to come out hot and on fire because they want to knock off OU.
And the other side of that is West Virginia's never beaten OU in the Big 12. The last time West Virginia beat OU was in the Orange Bowl or Citrus, whatever it was, some bowl game with a bunch of old guys like Tavon Austin carving up the OU defense. It was like 70 to whatever. They beat us by 1 million. But that was the last time West Virginia beat OU. They've never beaten OU as a member of the Big 12. So they're going to come out fired up. They're definitely going to play hard. And so we'll see what goes down, what happens. But ultimately, I think this game is going to come down if OU just needs a couple stops. This West Virginia defense isn't a whole lot better than OU's, believe it or not. And I know that sounds hard, but that's the reality. I heard somebody on another podcast say that OU may be the worst defensive team in the Power 5. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That is such an overreaction to the fourth quarter of one game. They're bad. Don't get me wrong. Do you think they're worse than Kansas or Rutgers, though? Like, there's a million other teams. Oregon State. Come on. They're bad. Don't get me wrong. They're probably ninth in the Big 12.
They're the worst nationally televised defense you see week in and week out.
That's a good way to put it.
And it creates the narrative, like you said. And so
they don't give up 23 points in the fourth quarter. Everybody's chilling, looking forward to West Virginia.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. The thing I was going to say, and maybe you'll have a key on defense. This is my little key. It's a little quick thing. I watched that Oklahoma State game. When Oklahoma State got pressure on Will Greer, the game changed. When they started blitzing, and sometimes they didn't even have to blitz. That offensive line for West Virginia is not amazing.
Yeah.
When they got pressure on Will Greer, that game really changed. I think if OU can get pressure on Will Greer, they'll really get a couple stops here and there, maybe even get an interception.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. The biggest key for me, I think, is going to be that linebacking group. The Kenneth Murray, Buzzy Bolton, Caleb Kelly's, whether it's them bringing pressure. I know we saw a few wrinkles where Buzzy was blitzing and coming with pressure quite a bit, or dropping back into coverage. I think that's what's going to kind of dictate this game. If they can make plays in the running game and the passing game, it's going to shore up that whole defense.
Yeah, and it's time for OU to get lucky. I heard someone else say, some defenses are bad, but they just randomly find their way into turnovers. OU's just dropped 1 million of them this year. They got the block punt against Kansas, which felt good, things like that. But I really expect this to be that game where OU finally gets lucky a couple times and gets a pick. It could happen. I mean, just be ready for that. So with that said, I guess we'll go into predictions. Like I just said, I think OU could get lucky and get a few turnovers. However, in my heart, I don't know if that's going to happen. If I had to pick a team on this, I'd pick West Virginia by a touchdown, and it's going to be 100 to 107.
Yeah.
But I think West Virginia at home at night, this OU defense is just beat down. The fans have been killing them. Their coach has been killing them. Probably the offensive teammates have been killing them. It's just going to be too much, and OU is going to run out of luck, I think.
See, I'm on the opposite side of things where I think that, we've talked about how Lincoln and OU in this offense has been trying to get Kyler that Heisman moment. I think that comes this game. I think he's going to have an electric play late in the fourth, either going to scramble, hit Hollywood deep, run like he had against Kansas at
75-yard TD was sick.
He looks so fast. But I think something like that happens, and that just propels OU. I think that's going to be his moment. I don't know if it'll propel him to the Heisman, but it's at least going to propel them to a win and into the Big 12 championship.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. Hopefully it happens.
Yes.
As I said earlier, OU with their 10th win of the season, we had a pretty funny fan take. This is from our guy, WDB Highlights down there, Seattle, Washington. He said this is in January, February, April.
Yeah.
He said, you guys lost Baker. If Oklahoma wins 10 games or more in the regular season next season, I will eat a literal piece of dog SH, what's that? Asterisk T. I couldn't think of the name of that. So he said, and of course, OU getting their 10th W against Kansas, which is hilarious.
Never in doubt.
So you knew the Gooner Twitter was going to come after him.
Oh, and it happened.
And so he makes his own little response. Crazy Fan Takes, of course, tweeting out the screenshot. They're a pretty big account that just makes fun of people with crazy takes and stuff. And so he says, this is WDB Highlights himself. He says, I made this prediction in the middle of a thread. I didn't expect someone to actually remember it weeks or even months down the road. With that being said, I will not be eating dog poop because I don't want to risk my personal health over a dumb Twitter bet. Thank you. And so I checked his tweets. Every tweet he has, there's 10 or so OU fans
just
putting the gif of in Step Brothers when the little kids make him lick that dog poop. People keep posting that gif.
The internet's undefeated, man. You can never beat it.
I just love the fact that he said, I didn't expect someone to remember it. So he thought he could make this bet.
And then just people would
forget. No one would say anything about it.
Yeah.
Listen, I've done this myself. I've never said anything that crazy. But I've definitely not said anything this crazy, of course. But I've said some things that if someone would have screenshot it, they could have got me on. But I learned my lesson without being exposed on the internet.
Everybody has.
And I'm assuming this is a young dude. This is probably like a 15-year-old kid. He says something about I make YT videos. So I'm sure he's a kid.
YT stands for YouTube, I think is what the kids say
youngsters
nowadays.
are calling YouTube YT.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It's funny. I've been wrong on the internet dozens of times, if not hundreds. But I don't think I've ever said that I will do something.
Don't put a hard bet on the end. That's the key.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted to bring this to you guys because Gooner's Twitter stayed undefeated again this weekend.
Oh yeah, they went after him, and I'm definitely not mad. It's always a good day when Gooner Twitter gets at somebody.
Let's talk a little Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah,
9-1 in their last 10.
I'm excited. They've looked great even without Russ. Had a real big win, and it was a fun game. The most fun I've had watching a Thunder game since probably right before they lost 3-1 lead in the playoffs to the Warriors. Sorry, Thunder fans, to bring it up.
Rip.
And then before that, probably back in 2013 when this team was just rolling. They looked great, had a blast. Russ is on the sidelines, just geeked up, having a great time. Paul George is on the court hitting shots. It was just fun, man.
I left a point in our notes, and because last time we talked Thunder, we were about to play the Suns, or I think we just had played the Suns.
Yep.
Killed them, and the team was looking great. And our point was, you wrote this: playing the Suns fixes all problems. And so I just left that in, and I put a parentheses. This point is still relevant.
Yeah, the third time this season that they've played them, in
3-0, right?
Beat them by double digits again. Without Russ, without Abrines, without Terrence Ferguson. They were all out, and OKC goes on the road and gets it done, which I don't think would have happened last year with that team.
I don't think so. Like you said, they're playing a lot more fun brand of basketball right now. Like you said, lots of dunks, lots of alley-oops. The pick and roll is working great.
Yeah.
Talk about the pick and roll a little bit.
Yeah, it's looked great, and before I get into that, I don't want to throw everything on Melo, but there are very few things that are different on this team.
That's one of the biggest differences.
It's the biggest thing, and not having to try to get him involved in an offense and having guys that actually play these defensive roles, these two-way roles, who don't expect shots. I mean, if Diallo's in the game and he goes 0 for 4 on the court, he's not expecting to get the ball a fifth time to put up a jumper. He's just going with the flow, going to play defense, going to play hard. And I think that's what this team needed, is just role players, because you already have ISO guys. And so with that being said, Schroeder in the pick and roll has been unreal. Paul George, each and every game, he feels like he gets better and more comfortable playmaking. He and Steven Adams getting a better rhythm. You have pick and pop with Patrick Patterson. They've even started running a few little wrinkles where they'll bring Abrines to go set a screen for Schroeder, and if they hedge too hard, he slips the screen to the 3-point line, and they have somebody setting a back screen for him to get an open look. So they've done a few little fun wrinkles, and it's just been good. The continuity's great. The bench has been playing well. It's been fun Thunder basketball.
Yeah, right now, the last couple games at least, PG's just been going off. Somebody had kind of his last 3-game stats, but I can't find it right now. But he's come alive, and that's been huge in the absence of Russell Westbrook. But like you said, Schroeder, so natural in that pick and roll environment, and then the bench still picking up the slack where they left off. I looked at the last Suns game that we played, and TLC actually played 25 minutes and had 12 points. Did you see some things you liked about him? Is he going to get in the rotation now, or is that kind of just because Russ is out?
Yeah, I think it was because Russ and Ferg and Abrines were all out.
Ferg was out too.
Yeah, and so he's still a young player. I don't think he makes it into the rotation just because Ferg started slow, but he's really picked up his play, which we were somewhat critical of him early, but we thought that he could get better, and he has. And between him and then Diallo, you can't keep Diallo off the court. You just can't.
He's too
every time he's on the court, he's making plays. And Abrines is probably your best shooter, so that plus having Russ at a wing, essentially, and then PG at a wing, and then when Dre comes back, it's just I don't think there's enough minutes for him to get on the court.
Yeah, it's just one of those things about the NBA. You can be good and still get edged out, and unfortunate for him. But yeah, you brought up a good point. I want to hit that real quick. You said that we were real critical of Ferguson, and we were. Yeah. But we did say that if he's going to improve, it's got to be now. He didn't have much time. And sure enough, the last couple games, he's really turned it on. Sans the last one that he was out, but he really turned it on the last couple games. Do you think it's all confidence, or is there something that he's really doing different?
Yeah, I think it's just confidence. And when you're a young player, your teammates, these great players on your team, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, them having confidence in him and really letting him know, I think is everything. When he's on the floor, they're dishing it to him. I saw a time or two in the Knicks game, I believe, where he caught the ball in the corner and he may have passed up a shot. And if you look over, Russ is on the bench in street clothes telling him to shoot the ball, because they want if I would rather see him shoot it with confidence on an open shot off a good swing pass than hesitate and then try to attack and just not be sure of himself. Players play best when they're confident and know what they're going to do. And that ball's on his way. He said, I'm going to catch and shoot regardless. He catches, shoots it, playing with confidence.
I heard a guy, his name's Kelly Gregg. He's on the franchise. He's a former Sooner player. He also played in the NFL. But he said that pro sports, he thinks, he played, so he knows. He thinks it's about 80% confidence in pro sports. Obviously, there's some skill there that they already possess, but if you were good enough to make it there, he said basically it just becomes, how confident are you going to be? Yeah. Obviously, he didn't play the same sport, but he's right, I think. And I found that Paul George stat, if you want me to read it real quick. Paul George is averaging 33 points per game on 52% shooting, and he's shooting 45% from threes. 8 rebounds, 4 assists in his last 3 games. Yeah. That's his average for the last 3 games.
He's hit all 30 in all 3 too. He's been great. There's not much more you can really say. He's affected both ends of the court. Last I checked, he was the league's leader in steals. He's just that team. It's good. It's the basketball we wanted last year. It's the basketball we wanted the year before that. It's been great.
So we were very aggressive in calling for Billy Donovan a while back. Maybe not for him to get fired, but we thought he should be on the seat at least.
Yeah.
He seemed to figure something out with that bench, or the bench figured something out themselves, but has his seat cooled off quite a bit?
I mean, it had to have. If when you've won 10 of 11 and you're 9-1 in your last 10, that seat cools off real quick. It's not something that I don't know how much he's actually changed in his coaching style. I can tell you that just watching him and on the sidelines, he's more vocal, especially with referees, officials. Early Billy Donovan, which he's still a young coach and, coming from college, getting acclimated. But he's been around for a little while. He was still kind of hesitant to go at the referees and really yell at them. He'd bring them over and say, hey, come here, let me talk to you.
Yeah, be a real nice talking to.
Yeah, kind of try to be the cool stepdad. But but now he's really on them, and he's on the players. the key will be when Russ comes back. Will he still have that same confidence when he's coaching, or will he kind of let Russ dictate what goes on the floor a little bit more and be a floor general? I think you're going to need a mix of both because they've got a tough schedule, coming up. They play the Kings, which we're recording tonight.
Monday night.
Yeah.
This week.
And so they play them a little bit later on tonight. And then who they have after that?
At Golden State.
Yeah.
They got Charlotte at home and then Denver at home. So that's not easy, especially when you compare it to the last couple of games. There are no true layups in that one. Maybe Charlotte.
But Charlotte's been good. Kemba Walker for them just dropped a cool 60-piece with no sides on the Sixers. So they've looked good. The Kings obviously are a scrappy young team. They've kind of cooled off a little bit, come back down to earth. And then, of course, the Warriors have been awful as of late. Steph's been out. They had the Draymond saga continues with him and KD.
Toe sprain. He was out with a toe sprain. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so they went on a little Texas road trip, lost all 3 of those games. So they'll be ready anytime that Russell Westbrook comes in and this Thunder team comes into Oracle Arena. They're going to be ready and fired up because they want to do it for KD. And I think there's just a lot of animosity between those two teams. It's
a rivalry.
Which you don't see much in the NBA, and I really appreciate on both sides of the ball.
It's a rivalry. NBA is different where there aren't a whole lot of regional rivalries anymore. It's more so personnel. Yeah. Like, I don't like your team because we matched up in the playoffs or whatever, or you used to play for us. That's how rivalries are in the modern NBA.
Yep.
But, yeah, you did mention Russ. What's his update?
He's still day-to-day. I know he was out from practice yesterday for personal reasons, but it was because they just had twins.
The birth of their twins.
Yeah, so if there's a reason to be out, I guess it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, 2-for-1 special.
So, but the game...
That was a bad joke. I'm so sorry. Don't show that to Russ, please.
But the game against Phoenix, he was there shoot-around that day, kind of warming up, so testing out the ankle. I figure he wants to be back Wednesday. His goal is probably... He didn't get to play Oracle Game 1. He's not going to want to miss this one. And so I think
he's on the trip, right?
Yeah.
So
he apparently he travels most times just because he gets in guys' ears. He brings energy even when he's just on the bench. Kind of keeps guys going.
It's pretty special to have a leader like that. Maybe the Thunder, one of the only teams to have a guy like that. Like you said, most times when guys are injured or even personal reasons, there's no way they're traveling.
Yeah,
you'll see Russ on the end of the bench no matter what for the Thunder. So
yeah,
it's good to have a leader like that.
Definitely. All right, I guess now's a good time to dive into some college basketball with OU and OSU kicking their seasons off.
Yeah, it's still a fresh season. OU starting at 3-0, Oklahoma State starting at 2-1. But the Big 12 conference as a whole, and everybody, the worst record is West Virginia. They're 2-2, but they got a great coach and some veteran leaders, so they'll bounce back. Big 12 is tough, man.
Yeah, both in football and basketball. It's a really good conference all around. OU had some not cupcakes early. Wofford's a decent team, beat North Carolina last year. But when
hit my mic with my drink.
When December hits, they've got some tough games. They play Florida later this week, and OSU's schedule really doesn't pick up and ramp up till Big 12 season. Where do you think either of those two teams will finish in the Big 12?
I don't know. I really don't know, Chase. Don't think either one. I think Oklahoma State is really, really scrappy. I love where their team is. OU can be good. They've got some interesting players like Brady Manick, Larry from the Prairie is what they call him.
Brady Bird.
I'm not exactly sure. I just know that Kansas is going to finish at number 1. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you there. I think that there's a few dark horses at the top of that league who might actually give Kansas a run for their money. I think OU and OSU finish probably 6-7, 6-8, somewhere in that range in the Big 12. Not really a great year. Maybe they could sneak in by winning the Big 12 tournament.
Okay, and then Final Four predictions.
Yeah. So mine, and hear me out. This is if all these 4 teams are in different regions, barring any injury.
Yeah.
Don't come at me in March when one of these guys had tore his ACL and couldn't play. But so I think it's going to be Duke, Kansas, Kansas State, and Nevada.
Whoa!
Yeah, throwing some curveballs in there.
Crazy.
But, when tournament time hits, seniors usually lead the way unless you're Duke and have just 3 otherworldly players.
Yeah.
But Kansas is usually led by some seniors. Kansas State returned all 5 starters last year. Nevada made a nice run in the tournament last year and will probably be in the top 10 now, if not by the end of the season. So I think that's going to be your Final Four come March.
I'm thinking Duke, Kansas, Michigan.
Oh.
Crazy, right? And then North Carolina.
Yeah,
I think
some blue bloods.
Yeah, I think those are some classic programs. I think, they're kind of a couple, like North Carolina and Michigan are sort of in that lower top 10 right now, but I think they're good teams. Those are two teams right there that have great coaches.
Yes.
And then the other two teams I mentioned are a bunch of freshman phenoms, and they have good coaches too, obviously, but a bunch of freshman phenoms. So that's kind of why you love college basketball, though. There's a mix of everything. You got guys that are going to be dunking on LeBron James next year, and you got some dudes that have been in the program for 5 years grinding away. So
yeah, you never know. And when March Madness hits, you may get another Florida Gulf Coast. Just make a crazy run. George Mason. It's why we love it.
Yep, it's why we keep watching. Hopefully we have another good weekend in sports. OU game on Friday because it is Thanksgiving week. So everybody out there, enjoy your Thanksgiving feast.
Eat some turkey.
Eat some good food for us.
Take
I know I'm going to be round the next time I come on the podcast. You're going to have to roll me on set. But thank you guys so much for watching the show, Oklahoma Sports Podcast. We're at OK Sports Podcast on Twitter and other socials. Check us out on YouTube. That's really where we're trying to pile up subscribers. Hit that subscribe button. Share these videos. That really helps us a lot. Get these to as many people as we can reach out to.
Yeah,
we like to have fun on the show. If this is your first time watching it, we try to loosen up and just have sports takes, but still have some casual convo in there too.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget, Apple Podcasts as well.
Yep, we're on Apple Podcasts as well. Leave us a rating on there. Thanks for watching us.
Yeah, we appreciate you.